Alrighty, Sigma Racing fans, here we come from you live here tonight at Monster Rally Truck, Rallycross track. It's quite the name. It's very much a mouthful, but it's gonna be an interesting one here. The way it's set up. So it's getting down to crunch time for these Bridge to Cup drivers. Their head-to-head matchups are setting their direction for the overall championship battle, and tonight a couple drivers can secure their lock to the overall finale with some luck here tonight. Scott Speed here at the front, all he needs is to beat his head-to-head matchup to lock his way in, as well as the 48. So both of them starting on the front row here, doing what they must to secure their final head-to-head win to make it into the finale in Phoenix here in just a couple weeks. Behind them, you've got John Hagen, who is on the bubble. He needs a win in his head-to-head matchup to continue on. If he wins, he will knock out the 65 of Anihieser Walkner from contention. So there's a lot on the table there. Braden Hunt, Roach, Krista Cower, she's up against the 95 of Scott Speed, so she's going to have to work her way through the field to catch up and pass our pole sitter. The good part is that she still has an extra gimme, so she can lose one more head-to-head matchup and still have a shot to win the next two. Atlee Weiss looking to get the next win and lock his way into the finale, alongside his team car of Andrew Moger, Cooper Dwight, and Kevin Xavier, Tom Cording and Jack Davis, Bradley Ream and Anihieser Walkner, Tim Cording and Kyler Sustre, Alan Malcolm and Kat Durham, Cannon Gage and Kyle Ottawa, Dave Steele Jr. and AJ Kosnoff, Osceola Escobar and Adam Starr, Ryan Little and Gannon Bird, with Jimmy Logano and Rich Roy rounding out the field here. This Rallycross race is going to be an interesting one. We've seen the Rallycross races really kind of mix it up here this season. Kind of start to develop these different drivers that you wouldn't expect to see running up front, finding a way to get up front and compete. And don't turn the dial after this race here. We will roll right into the next one for this doubleheader tonight.
How quick the commitment line comes up on you into turn 2 there. Don't let him speed because it's a short box right there. Second was on the green flag, wear him out. Even if he says he understands, keep wearing him out. To pit off from turn 4. Was just love him. Keep calm, man. It's going to be okay.
Very large, wide open spaces on this track. You're going to see some bumps and jumps. It's going to be a good one here tonight. 28 laps around this gnarly circuit. Scott Speed roars into the dirt section here with a demanding lead. Of course, with our road course races, the cautions are disabled. So short of a terrible, no good track pileup, that's the only way we're going to throw a caution here today. Roach is in a must-win scenario here. He needs very desperately to get a win to stay alive in competition for this championship battle. Doing what he must here, running in second as he gets by John Hagen. John Hagen, too, also needs to get a win. And those two are going to be facing up against... So Roach needs to outdo the 09 of Jack Davis, which he is doing resoundingly right now. And John Hagen needs to outdo the 65 of Walkner, which you can see the silver car just a little further back there. Walkner definitely has a lot to fight for here tonight. I think one of the interesting matchups is going to be Atlee Weiss against Cannon Gage. And we'll see right here. There's Atlee Weiss. Cannon Gage running just 2 spots behind him. So Cannon Gage could play spoiler here tonight and force Atlee Weiss to go another race of head-to-head matchups before he locks his way into the championship finale. Whoa, look at the smoke rolling off the back tires as they land the jump there. Ooh, the 8 of Asiel Escobar getting off the groove there. That's not ideal. So Scott Speed off to a pretty solid lead at the moment. Roach in a surprising second. Rounding up the back of the field, it looks like the 27 of Adam Starr. Jimmy Logano starting to make some moves here, getting by a couple drivers up to what looks like 24th. Right there, the 35, Dave Steele Jr. He needs to outperform the 29, which is not happening right now. The 29 has gotten by him. These are a pair of drivers with a 1-1 record on head-to-head matchups. A loss from one of these drivers tonight will force them into a must-win scenario for the final 2 matchups before the championship finale. Yeah, this is brutal because Dave Steele Jr., your regular season champion, and he's had a tough one here, and it ain't going to get any easier, especially with the SuperSpeedway tonight after this Rallycross track. We're really going to start to know who is locked in to the championship finale and who isn't after these 2 races tonight when our month of August aggro here in Bridge to Cup. Just like March Madness, but race cars. So Dave Steele behind the 8 ball right now. He's going to have to buckle in and try to fight for every inch on the racetrack here tonight. In the meantime, still Scott Speed out front leading. Roach in second. John Hagen returning to his roots. We saw him get his first win of the season right on the first race of the season at the Daytona Rallycross. So we know that Hagen seems to have a knack for these Rallycross races. Coming alive at the right time here. Needs a great finish to stay alive in the drive for the championship. Behind that, you've got the 48 of Luis Rodriguez, and this guy, I don't know how else to say it. He is our Cinderella man. He has figured out a way to come from 16th, the 16th seed, and he's winning every head-to-head matchup so far. As he runs right now, this would be good enough. He's got to beat the number 26 of Lucas Holmes. And so if we skim through the field here and try to find Lucas Holmes. Dang, Lucas Holmes is very deep in the field. How am I missing? Well, wait a minute. 26 ain't in our roster here. Well, what we'll do, the fact that the 26 is absent from the lineup, those two will be treated as a must get to 2 wins. No, that doesn't work either. What we'll do, we'll treat it as a half point, as the 26 should have been in the roster. I don't know how they got absent on the roster, but they did. Can't remember if this track only holds 28 cars and if that's why. That might be it. It might be this track only holds 28 cars. So let's make sure everyone's still from the title battle. You got the 29 and the 35, 84 obviously, and the 51, the 09 and the 66, the 19 and the 11's missing. Yeah, so that's what we'll do. We'll basically credit those drivers that got knocked out. A loss in their half would be a half-point loss and a half-point win for the contender that is leading tonight. And we'll still make the rule that you have to get to 3. So it's not going to change a whole lot. The 48 still needs to win one more head-to-head matchup after this race to stay qualified. And we'll have this sorted for the rally, the rest of the racing action here tonight. But other than that, the 95 and the 98 are still out there. The 46 and the 24 are still out there. Just the 26 and the 11 are absent. So it's a good thing I caught that now. I guess we're going to have our own form of encumbered head-to-head matchup win here tonight, which was completely unexpected. We did not anticipate such an occurrence happening here. But regardless, you still got to give the 48 credit that he is running strong. I think his next head-to-head matchup, he should be just fine and getting it. Really are starting to get through the majority of the laps here tonight. So let's skim back to the back and see how the other head-to-head matchups are faring. Man, Dave Steele Jr. still behind the 8 ball. He needs to kick it into high gear here. And if anyone needs any clarification after tonight, I'll be happy to provide a little bit more insight on the half-point decision, as that really, I mean, even the added race, the extra race was unexpected, so it'll all work out in the wash, honestly. If a driver that gets that half point comes up with 3.5 wins, that's good enough to qualify him. But 2.5 is not gonna. Basically, it pushes the 48 to a, he's gonna have to show up and actually win one more matchup before he can lock his way in. Magic number is still 3. Ooh, the 12. Way off the pace here. He's getting past the left and right. Seems like they may have a mechanical failure on that number 12 car. Well, how fitting having Scott Speed do the majority of the Rallycross winning. He is a Rallycross driver in his, real life counterpart, so it would only make sense that he would be out here leading majority of our Rallycross races that we've hosted this season in Bridge to Cup. Nice thing is, this is the last Rallycross race of the season, so many of these drivers counting their lucky stars that this will put a nice little ribbon on all the Rallycross shenanigans that we've seen here in 2024. I guess the reviews are kind of lukewarm. There's possibility that we can maybe keep a couple of these Rallycross tracks going forward, but we're probably not going to have them on the same scale as we did this year, having nearly a quarter of the season run on Rallycross circuits. So it is good. It's good to have it in the series because it gives us, a gauge to try and fill out which drivers have that extra oomph that the other drivers might not have. We're seeing it with drivers like John Hagen, who seems to have had a knack to getting these Rallycross tracks figured out. And yet again, another great showing here from John Hagen on the Rallycross circuit. I ultimately feel bad for Luis Rodriguez that there was a mistake in the roster for this race, but it'll work out. We'll be just fine. Wow, the closing rate with the leader. He caught up to that 12 car in a hurry. 12 car better be careful. We might actually have to DQ the 12 car here. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and do that. It's going to take him another lap to get around, but that 12 car is way off the pace here. So Atlee Weiss has to outperform the 51 of Cannon Gage. And as they run right now, he is doing just that. So Atlee Weiss could become our first... Oh, no. Atlee got in contact with the 12 car. Oh, boy, that took a turn for the worse there. Damn. Here we have a replay. As you see, the 12 just not adhering to regular race protocol there. Cuts into the 84, and there goes the 51 of Cannon Gage, right as we were mentioning the head-to-head matchup between the two of them. Now Atlee with a little bit of damage on his car. He's going to have to fight back and get back around the cars that he just recently passed. What a mess. Still got about 12 laps to go to get it done, so I don't see him not getting it done. He can get it. The damage is probably minimal. They didn't make contact with an outer barrier, just got into the dirt and suffered some minor cosmetic damage there. And even if not in this race, we'll know by the next race if he can lock his way in or get forced to a must-win in the last race of the regular, or the head-to-head matchups, rather. Yeah, I guess you got the regular season, the playoffs, and then the Super Bowl for the most part. Well, in the meantime, we're going to skim up to the front of the field here again. Roach still sitting solidly in second. Scott Speed totally leaving the rest of the field behind. Scott Speed would get his third head-to-head matchup and secure the first seed, or well, not seed, but first berth into the championship finale at Phoenix. The 48 would have to go on one more race and try to win the next head-to-head matchup before he can get a guaranteed spot. The one that's going to raise some ire here is going to be the contact with the 12 and the 84. Atlee Weiss did not do anything wrong there. He just got done dirty by a lapped car that was holding up pace around the track. Hopefully, Atlee can erase the boo-boo that was made by another driver. It looks like there's only going to be about 10 laps left to get it. There you have Cannon Gage fighting it out with the 09 of Jack Davis here. Wow, I DQ'd the 12 car and yet he's still out here making laps. What the heck? I disqualified DQ the number 12. Why is he still out here? Oh boy. Atlee was able to clear him this time, but clearly there's no way to get onto pit road here. It's weird. Might be an afterthought on this racetrack. I don't know if they have a pit road entry. That might be the big problem here. So hopefully you don't have people running out of gas. This could be stricter guideline punishments for that 12 car if he doesn't adhere to the rules that are. More and more laps are taken by and he still has not served his disqualification. That is unacceptable. Hopefully I don't crash the dang game trying to disqualify him. Scott Speed still leads. Roach still in second. John Hagen in third. Luis Rodriguez, Cooper Dwight, and Krista Cower. Unfortunately for Krista, the guy that's leading the race is her head-to-head matchup here. So short of a mechanical failure, it's not looking like Krista's going to get her head-to-head win here tonight at Monstered Rally Track. Still, there's plenty of racing to be had here. We could have something come about. The 29 still beating Dave Steele Jr. here. Man, such a bummer for Atlee. He had great car, great pace, and that lap car really upset the apple cart there as he's fallen backwards. His head-to-head matchup driving away further ahead of him. 51, can engage. Currently 1-1 in head-to-head matchups, and so after tonight with a head-to-head win, he would be 2-1. Still searching for that magical number 3 to lock his way in. Wow. Yeah, I don't have a resolution for that one. I've DQ'd the 12 car a couple times now, and he is just staying out there holding up the entire field. Luckily, you have a lot of open space to drive around people, but holy cow, man. That 12 car, the only way that we could fix this is if we stopped, threw a red flag and took the steering wheel out of his hands, seems like. We are down to just 3 laps to go here at Monster Truck Rally. As the lead goes, really no drama here tonight. Scott Speed has been the star of the show. He's led every lap. 12 car is about 20 seconds off the pace. So we'll just keep an eye on him here and see what crap he starts. We might see another wreck that's not necessary here if that 12 car gets in the way. It's really going to be all about where they catch him at and where they are able to pass. Roach got lucky there and was able to pass him in a relatively singular line spot of the track. But right here, a lot of people are making that turn. It's a blind turn with the slow car holding up the line. You don't know that he's around the corner there. Must say this track could very well be one of the few Rallycross tracks that make a comeback on the next schedule. We'll see. No guarantees, but it wouldn't be a half bad track to have a race. White flag, 1 lap to go. And the rest of our head-to-head matchups is we've got the 51 of Cannon Gage beating the 84 of Atlee Weiss. The 35 trying to buckle down here and catch the 29 of Rich Roy. This could be for a lot of marbles here. 35, our number 1 seed, should have had the easiest path to winning week in, week out with these head-to-head matchups, but he has just come up short so many times so far. Oh, they have a wreck. The 81 and the 12 get together. That's unfortunate. We kind of figured there was going to be another accident with that 12 car. Everyone's able to make it through. Scott Speed is your winner here today. Oh, wow. The 65 of Walkner made all the way up to 8th. Luis Rodriguez in 4th. John Hagen in 3rd. Roach in 2nd. Yeah, that 12 car has been a thorn in our side here tonight. Atlee, unfortunately, not getting the needed head-to-head win. Rich Roy beats our number 1 seed, so our number 1 seed still taking a whooping here in our head-to-head matchups. So, oh boy. Hold tight, folks, for just a slight station pause here so that I can actually get the head-to-head matchups figured all out here. So the 35 is now 1 and 2 going into the Moon Cheese 300. The 50 or the 29 is now 2 and 1. The 51 is now 2 and 1. Cannon Gage beat the 84 of Atlee Weiss. Atlee Weiss is now 2 and 1 as he lost his first head-to-head matchup. 66 of Roach. Amazingly enough, he had to beat the 09. The 66 finishes 2nd. The 09 finishes 13th. So Roach gets to stay alive by the skin of his teeth, still with a shot to get into it all. The 09 unfortunately falls to 1 and 2. The 11 we will treat as a half, so he is still 1 to 1.5. The 19 is 1.5, 1.5 to 1. The 98 unfortunately lost, so the 98 of Krista Cower is going to be a 1 and 2. 95 of Scott Speed is your first driver with a 3 and 0. 24 was up against the 46. So if we look, the 24 unfortunately finished 24th. The 46 finished right ahead by 1 spot. So the 46 now jumps up to 2 and 1. And the 24 falls down to 1 and 2. 48 of Luis Rodriguez, as we mentioned, he's going to be a 2.5, 2.5 to 0. 26 will be 1 to 1.5. 88 of John Hagen lives to fight another day. Just barely, as the 65 came in 8th, Hagen in 3rd. Hagen's good enough to stay at 1 and 2. And our first driver eliminated from championship contention here, 0 and 3 for the 65 of Anihieser Walkner. So he is no longer eligible. We've dialed it down to 15 drivers left in the mix. We're on 28 of 31. Apparently this track has no pit road. That's something I never tested here, so I didn't know that, but it kind of makes sense as the way we've set it up that it shouldn't even become a factor. These guys will just run out there until they run out of gas or bust their car. 8 of 31. Alrighty. And so there is no lock screen for that one. Actually, I'll let it set. We'll actually just roll into the next one. You guys can watch as I set everything up. Yeah, the 11, 26. Man, that sucks that they got knocked out. That the track was just too small and it didn't accept them, so. Alrighty, the moment we've all been waiting for. The Moon Cheese 300 for the Bridge to Cup series is about to get underway.
Favor, just touch all your seatbelts, touch all your connections, touch your Honda. Make sure you get everything like you want it. Favor, just touch all your seatbelts, touch all your connections, touch your Honda. Just make sure you get everything like you want it.
Well, we are set up and the stage is ready for the next race here in Bridge to Cup action, and the 35 has pretty much got to win his way out here. He's 1 and 2. Head-to-head matchup is up against the 51 here tonight, who's 2 and 1. He starts alongside Jimmy Logano, our surprise newcomer to the series that's been very stout. Behind that, you got the 95 already locked in, 3-0. With Atlee Weiss needing just one more win to lock his way in, he's up against the 66 of Roach here tonight. Then you've got Alan Malcolm and Anihieser Walkner. Sadly for Walkner, he is knocked out of contention. Cooper Dwight and Luis Rodriguez. Rodriguez up against the 46 of Gannon Bird. So he's going to have to get that one more win to secure the highly coveted number 3. Ryan Little and Moger, Gannon Bird, and Rich Roy. Roy is at a 2-1. He needs to outdo the 88 of John Hagen here tonight. Hobson and Starr, Cording and Hunt, Davis and Xavier, Gage and Walker, Escobar and Durham, Sustre and Kosnoff, Roach and Cording, Cower and Bird, Plays and Ladino, Hagen and Holmes, Ream and Ottawa. 150 laps at this 2-mile SuperSpeedway.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Dad, you got your radio on over there? Yeah, 10-4. Can you hear me? Oh, yeah, I hear you loud and clear. Henry, you got me? Oh, yeah, I got you loud and clear there.
Pace car makes the hard left off of the racing surface, and we're going to get going here tonight for the Moon Cheese 300. Live from the moon here tonight. Part of our interstellar Sigma series. These drivers already pushing the envelope early, getting up to speed here around the moon's surface. Atlee Weiss going to try to push it 3 wide for the lead. They're up to 221 miles an hour. This track is insane. 214 miles an hour through the turns. These guys have no fear. This is easily one of the craziest tracks that we're going to be racing on all season. Look at the speed that these guys are turning. And we're going to have to keep an extra careful, cautious look for any cautions on track here. I'll have to play the flagman. I forgot to re-enable cautions for this race. Atlee out to the early lead here for the Moon Cheese 300. Sitting in second is the 95 of Scott Speed, and then Alan Malcolm in third. Right now we have our camera scope set on the midfield here to try and see what all is going to transpire here. 150 laps. These guys are blaring around the racetrack at about 250 miles, 215 mile average speed. If you look at the average speed, 210 miles an hour. Right there, it bumped right up to 215 after they got the pace lap kind of further down the average line. So they are hauling the mail here on the moon. Got to imagine that a lot of that has to do with the gravity effect. We currently have our scope set on the 51 of Cannon Gage here. He's going to have to find his way to catch up to the 35 of Dave Steele Jr. if he can beat Dave Steele Jr. here today, he would lock his way in to the championship finale at Phoenix. On the other side, that would end up knocking out the 35 from contention. So a lot teetering on this race alone here. Dave Steele Jr., our #1 seed, possibly looking at getting an early exit from the championship battle. But he's still fighting. He's still out there running solid, and he could get a good finish here today. So don't count him out of contention yet. Atlee Weiss still out front leading. Quite demandingly, actually. Let's watch with our speedometer here just how fast he's going. 222, 226, 230. Wow, 230 miles an hour. This truly is one of the fastest tracks that we come to. Across the start-finish line, a solid 228. He gets up to 232 miles an hour going into turn 1. So, holy crap, a 31.685. He just turned his fastest lap this last time on lap 7. Atlee is pretty much laying down blistering pace here. This is part of why we were more than willing to do a double header here tonight. I knew this race was going to go by quickly. Our Rallycross race actually went pretty smoothly as well, so I think what's more impressive is that we've made it 9 laps without anyone wrecking. Of course, commentators jinx, I may have just upset that whole notion, but 34 cars still running, 10 laps into this one, that is impressive. Yeah, Atlee still setting down solidly competitive laps. It doesn't look like the tires are falling off all that bad on the 84 car right now. The good thing for Atlee, his head-to-head matchup is the 66 of Roach. And if we look deeper in the field here, Roach currently sits all the way back in 20th. So as long as Atlee stays in front of that 66 car, he will punch his ticket into the championship finale. 51 still needs to find some space up to catch the 35. 35 actually putting in a decent showing here, running in 9th. The 46 needs to beat the 48, and he's doing just that right now. Our Cinderella story, the 48, all the way back in 13th, so definitely not out of the realm of possibility for Rodriguez to catch up, but he's got his work to do there. I am already loving what I'm seeing here for Mars Speedway. This is setting up to be an exciting super race here for the ages. These guys keeping it clean. They are running very solid laps here and at a very blistering pace. It's going to be interesting to see what happens come when we have to make green flag pit stops, if it's going to come to that. I mean, I'm not seeing a caution yet, but holy cow, these guys, it's going to be a tough round of green flag pit stops for sure. So green flag pit stops most likely going to become a factor here, as we have not seen any wrecks, any craziness happen yet. All 34 cars racing around the moon here at a blistering pace. Atlee Weiss, his pace has dropped off by about 3/10 here, but he is still holding the lead over his teammate there in the 95 of Scott Speed. And next week, these guys are going to hit Darlington, so it'll be one final opportunity for these guys to prove their worth before the championship finale at Phoenix. But tonight was one of those nights that was just going to be a complete wild card. There we go. Atlee's going to lose the lead over to Scott Speed here. Scott Speed takes over the lead. Well, not so quick. Maybe the passover maneuver. Atlee going to use the draft to his advantage here. Could we see another swap for the lead? I can only imagine if we were to get a wreck here tonight, it would be a astronomical type of wreck. Astronomic proportions. We've got speeds upwards of 220 miles an hour, and these guys are driving like well-trained professionals. 3 wide, that can be problematic. Hagen in the middle of it. We already know that Hagen needs to outduel the 29. That would be the 29 of Rich Roy. As they run right now, I think Rich Roy might be on the front side of that. Yeah, sure enough, Rich Roy up to 11th. So Rich Roy looking to get his 3rd win in head-to-head matchups, and therefore lock his way in to the championship finale. All he's got to do is continue to stay out there in front of John Hagen to get the job done. Meantime, Atlee Weiss takes back over the lead. We've got a duel of the teammates here developing. Could potentially be one of those races for the record books here between 2 teammates. It looks like we got a newcomer up to third. Jimmy Logano gets by Cooper Dwight. Ryan Little, Dave Steele Jr., Gannon Bird, Tim Cording. The 46 we were keeping an eye on has to outduel the 48. 48 right behind him. This 46 seems to be a magnet for these close head-to-head matchups. So 46 not out of the woods here, especially with that 48 hungry to get that one extra head-to-head win. We'll keep our eyes right here on the prize to see whether or not anything comes of this head-to-head matchup between the 46 and the 48. Alrighty, first round of green flag pit stops here on lap 48. Atlee Weiss had to pit. A few others taking the opportunity, so Atlee unfortunately goes in on his own. I don't anticipate the draft to be as huge of a factor here, as it really does seem like the cars that have the most horsepower are the ones going out there and really laying down the fast laps. So we'll see. I think Atlee's going to get right back out there, get back up to 225 miles an hour, and be just fine. Plus, he'll be on fresh tires, full tank of gas. The only downside here, pitting on lap 48, didn't really make it to the 1/3 mark of the race. If he could have went 2 more laps, it would have been 50, and a perfect 50, 100, and that last run you would have been running all the way till you were empty. We'll see. I don't really know if pitting on lap 48 is going to be a detriment or an advantage. Everyone else coming a lap later, that's going to be huge for them. Allie's going to get back around all the people that had just passed him under green flag pit stops. If you're just now joining in, you haven't missed a whole lot. We've went caution free through the first 50 laps here at Mars Speedway. Atlee has dominantly led most of the laps. Green flag pit stops have shuffled him out a little bit here, as the rest of the drivers are still trying to work their way through green flag pit stops. The speeds here on the moon are simply shocking. These guys are going 228 to 232 miles an hour around this very tight super speedway. Atlee back up into ninth. Once things settle out here, it should be back towards the front. But I think Cooper Dwight and Scott Speed actually made up more time on their pit stops here, pitting a lap later. Scott Speed likely to inherit the lead. Yep, right there. Inherits the lead back. Scott Speed, Cooper Dwight, Atlee Weiss, Tim Cording, and Ryan Little. Gannon Bird in the 46. He's trying to beat the 48, who has fallen backwards a little bit here to 13th. The 29 is dueling the 88 of John Hagen. He's beaten John Hagen right now. 98 of Krista Cower, dueling the 19. She is beating the 19, it seems, by a pretty solid margin. Maybe not. Where is the 19? Oh, Bradley Ream's up to 6, so Bradley Ream currently beating Krista Cower by a few spots here. As we continue to skim through the field, the 11 of Spinham Walker is up against the 09 of Jack Davis. Jack Davis is far behind him, so Jack Davis losing that matchup right now. So we get through our first round of green flag pit stops, and things have shaken up just a little bit. The lead now goes from Atlee Weiss to his teammate Scott Speed, but Cooper Dwight right there ready to pounce on the leader if the opportunity presents itself. You know, honestly, this has been quite crazy that we have not seen anyone wreck here tonight. One of the fastest tracks, and these guys are putting on a great show. Green flag pit stops might likely just be the main topic of this race, as we might see it come again at lap 100, and it's really going to kind of determine who's set for the final 50 laps of this race. Well, shoot, I was away from the computer, and Cooper Dwight takes the lead away from Scott Speed here today. Atlee still in third. So let us do a head-to-head matchup recap here, figuring out who's winning what. So 35 of Dave Steele Jr. outdueling the 51 of Cannon Gage, who is numerous spots back. 51 of Cannon Gage all the way back to 27th. So the 35 looks like he's going to get his second head-to-head win, and Cannon Gage might get his second head-to-head loss. On the flip side, the next driver in line is the 84 of Atlee Weiss. He is outperforming the 66 of Roach, whom is currently running in 25th. So Atlee looking to get his third head-to-head win, and that would sink Roach's championship hopes, giving him his third head-to-head loss. Then next in line is the 09 of Jack Davis. He needs to outperform the 11 of Spin'em Walker. And Spin'em Walker currently running right there in 13th. So Spin'em Walker would win that head-to-head matchup and get his second head-to-head win, sinking the 09 of Jack Davis to his third head-to-head loss. Next on the lineup is the 19 of Bradley Ream, who has 1.5 wins. That would put him, if he's able to beat the 98, who is currently running behind him. Figure out where the 98 is of Krista Cower. She's in 10th, and Bradley Ream is in 8th. So he's just barely beating Krista Cower. That would eliminate yet another contender out of our championship. So many of our championship contenders falling off like flies if things continue the way things are going. Obviously, the 95 up front leading would also sink the 24 of Kyler Sustre out of contention. The 46 and the 48, that has been a very highly documented battle, but it looks like green flag pit stops are coming again here on lap 86. Everyone's coming a little bit earlier this time. I wonder if the earlier pit stops here suggest that they want to try and make an extra push towards the finish with one more late pit stop around 20 to go. Well, we are on lap 103 of 150. Cooper Dwight holds the lead. Second is Scott Speed. Third, Atlee Weiss. Fourth, Dave Steele Jr. Fifth, Tom Cording. Sixth, Tim Cording. So Tom and Tim both running decently here. Ryan Little, Kyle Ottawa, Luis Rodriguez, who has to beat the 46, is doing just that. 46. Gannon Bird falls all the way back to 20th. So that's a shame for the 46 there, who was in contention to beat the 48. 48 just needs a win, and he is guaranteed in to the championship finale. John Hagen, we were looking, needs to beat the 29. However, I think the 29 is, just a couple spots in front of him there in 11th. Spinham Walker needs to outduel the 09, and he's doing just that. But in the meantime, Dave Steele Jr. takes over third. Atlee Weiss is fine because all he's got to do is beat the 51, and he's doing just that. Ultimately, it looks like it's going to be a fight for the win here between these two that have kind of established their own standout lead here. Still have not seen anyone wreck here tonight on the moon. Well, we are down to just 30 laps to go. Scott Speed leading the way. Still, well, one mechanical failure, the 49 of, I believe that'd be Chasey Plays in the 49. Not a championship contender. He is out of it. Well, it's starting to look like we might have some unexpected twists at the end of this one. Some drivers trying to push it on fuel mileage to make it all the way to the finish. 98 of Krista Cower, she is trying to run it all the way to the finish without making one more pit stop here. This could be a game changer, as she was looking like she might have been the one to get knocked out here tonight. She did win at Monaco, but since that win at Monaco, she has had 2 head-to-head losses. So she could be on a track here to win 2 of our head-to-head races if she can pull off the fuel mileage numbers here. And that would just be crazy if she could do that. The 46 out there beating the 48. The 46 would move on. The 48 would have to wait another week to try and get that one more win. So honestly, yes, it's coming down to fuel mileage numbers here. That 98 might have been able to save just a little bit extra fuel here. She's out there running about 1 second slower than the folks that have made their pit stops. She's desperately holding on for everything she's got. 84 still looking like Atlee's going to beat the 66. So our head-to-head matchups definitely affected slightly here, but not significantly. The big change-up would be the 98 in place of the 19, where Bradley Ream was looking like he might have it sealed up. And with just one more race after tonight, he could potentially still lock his way in. We'll allow a 2.5 over 2 rather than a, well, it would still qualify. That half point could qualify him in. So we'll see with Darlington as the remaining race. White flag waving. Krista Cower holds the lead over Jimmy Logano there in second. Is she going to have enough fuel to come around turns 3 and 4 here? By golly, it looks like she's going to have it. She's going to get her second win here in the stretch of our head-to-head matchups, securing a win here today, getting her second head-to-head matchup win. She beats the 19, giving him his second loss, but that is not the end-all for the 19 team, as they can still find their way into the championship. The 35 had to outperform the 51, and he did just that. So our number 1 seed, Dave Steele Jr., gets to live to fight for another day. Cannon Gage gets knocked down to a 2-2 record. Atlee Weiss locks himself in. The 09 and the 11, if we look, the 11 beats the 09 by a couple spots, by about 5 spots there. So the 11 of Spinham Walker gets his second win. He's 2 over 1.5, while the 09 of Jack Davis is officially eliminated. Krista Cower goes up to 2-2. The 19 of Bradley Ream falls to 1.5 to 2. The 24 and the 95. 95 still beat the 24 here today, so the 24 is eliminated from championship contention. The 46 beats the 48, and therefore the 46 locks himself into the championship finale. The 26 versus the 65. Looks like the 65 gets their first win. That's a 1-3, knocking the 26 back to a 1 and 2.5. And lastly, we were looking at John Hagen trying to beat the 29. However, the 29 beats John Hagen. That sinks John Hagen's championship hopes and gives the 29 of Rich Roy a ticket into the championship finale. So Racing from the Moon here today, definitely an exciting one. Gave us a little bit of racing action and some strategies that played out to give us a dramatic finish there at the end. Krista Cower now locks up her second win here in the stretch for head-to-head matchups. And we only have one more race before the championship finale. And Krista Cower isn't even locked into the championship finale. She needs to win her next head-to-head matchup to guarantee that. So, even getting hot at the right time, not always the surefire way to success, but she's quietly scratching her way to the top. So she's had to come from being the number 8 seed, actually around, I think, 12th seed if I'm not mistaken. But she gets her second win here in just 3 weeks. And that is a wrap tonight for our doubleheader. Krista Cower gets the job done. And we'll have updates on all of our, basically our head-to-head matchups and how those have unfolded here. So a lot to unpack with that. Thank you everyone for tuning in on the doubleheader here tonight. It is a late one. Just about 2 in the morning on 1 o'clock on the East Coast, my bad. Just barely midnight, at the end of midnight right now, so glad anyone that could have tuned in. We'll have Ricky Raceway for the Cup Series tomorrow, and I'm going to try to get some ratings and standings compiled so that we can post that on the Discord. So thanks everyone, have a good night, stay safe out there. This is Jakester signing